Welcome to the Astronomy 95 channel, and this is the NASA Top Stories Episode 6. In this episode, we talk about latest news of Perseverance Mars rover, new images of James Webb Space Telescope, and more top stories of NASA. On Saturday, February 18th, NASA's Perseverance rover will commemorate 2 years since it arrived on Mars. The six-wheeled, nuclear-powered rover has been exploring Jezero crater since it arrived there in 2021, looking at the red planet's geological features and gathering samples. 3 witness tubes have been sealed, along with 2 regolith samples, 1 atmosphere sample, and 3. A Martian rover mission's success depends heavily on numbers. Not only because the team is made up of a sizable number of scientists and engineers, but also because statistics offer the clearest and most accurate picture possible of vehicle patterns and performance. For example, the MOXIE technology demonstration has produced 3.25 ounces of oxygen, and the gas dust removal tool has puffed 62 times to clear residual dust and particles from rock abrading activities. Perseverance is a Martian rover expedition that has sealed 3 witness tubes and gathered 18 samples. The mission heavily relies on numbers since they offer the clearest and most effective view of vehicle trends and performance. For instance, to remove leftover dust and particles from rock abrading activities, the gas dust removal tool has puffed 62 times, and the MOXIE technology demonstration has created 3.25 ounces of oxygen. Mars will be 97 million miles away from Earth on the anniversary of Perseverance's second landing, and Jezero crater should see bright skies and a peak temperature of around 7 degrees Fahrenheit. The rover is supposed to conduct remote research and take pictures of Jenkins Gap. This stunning trio of merging galaxies may be seen in the constellation Boötes in this image from the Hubble Space Telescope. SDSSCGB10189 is a rare instance of a collision of 3 massive star-forming galaxies that are barely 50,000 light-years apart from one another, making them very near neighbors. Astronomers may use this picture to better comprehend the history of the universe's biggest, most massive galaxies. Scientists think that massive, gas-rich galaxies like the ones seen here combine to produce BCGs. This galaxy triple was examined in great detail by Hubble's Wide Field Camera 3 and Advanced Camera for surveys in an effort to understand how the universe's most massive galaxies were created. Engineers at the Roscosmos Mission Control Center are investigating a coolant leak from the Progress 82 cargo spacecraft discovered on February 11th. The crew of 7 residents is carrying on with normal space station operations and scientific research. On Wednesday, station scientists investigated a wide range of microgravity's effects on humans and physics to better understand the long-term implications of living and working in space. NASA flight engineer Josh Cassata strapped himself to a specialized device to respond to pre-programmed stimuli while a computer and video cameras recorded his actions. Cassata shared a health exam with fellow flight engineers Nicole Mann and Koichi Wakata, and the 3 cosmonauts conducted research and maintenance operations. Rubio replaced hardware components and experiment samples in the combustion integrated rack, and Prokopiev and Pete Lynn investigated how to keep biological research sterile in space. This picture from NASA's James Webb Space Telescope shows 50,000 sources of near-infrared light. To get to the telescope's detectors, their light had to travel over a variety of distances, which allowed it to capture the expanse of space in one picture. The galaxies of Pandora's cluster, a collection of existing huge clusters of galaxies merging to form a megacluster, are bright white objects surrounded by a hazy haze. This area is of particular interest to astronomers since it acts as a gravitational lens that allows them to observe extremely far-off light sources that would otherwise be invisible. These lens sources are red and frequently appear as elongated arcs that have been warped by the gravitational lens. To identify the real nature of the other red sources in the picture, more observations with Webb's NIR-SPEC instrument are required. The NIR-SPEC data will offer distance measurements and compositional information on a few chosen sources. the Perseverance Mars rover shared a panorama of its recently finished sample store, marking a significant achievement for the mission and the first sample collection by humans on an alien planet. The picture, which was assembled from 368 photographs delivered to Earth, shows the meticulous positioning and mapping of 10 titanium tubes over the course of more than a month. One of the tubes is an air sample, while the other 2 are witness tubes. Of those tubes, 8 are filled with rock and regolith, broken rock and dust. On January 31, 2023, the rover took a picture of the depot using the Mastcam Z camera mounted atop its mast, or head. The hue has been altered to roughly depict how the Martian surface might seem to the human eye. The Mars Sample Return Program, a collaboration between NASA and ESA, seeks to return samples from Mars to Earth for closer examination. The depot is a backup collection of materials that might be collected in the future by the campaign. On December 21, 2022, the rover started constructing the depot, carefully spacing the tubes in case they were to be recovered at a later time. The main tubes are located in Perseverance's belly, and as part of the campaign, Perseverance would transmit these, along with any other samples collected throughout the mission, to a sample retrieval lander. Samples might be recovered from the depot in the event that the rover's ability to transport tubes to the lander directly were to be compromised. The depot was constructed by Perseverance at Three Forks, a place inside Jezero crater. The crater was formed by a river flowing into it billions of years ago, delivering silt that resulted in the steep, fan-shaped delta that the rover will drive up in the coming months. The surface of Mars is now cold, dry, and generally unfriendly to life, but in its prehistoric past, it was probably more like Earth and may have sustained microbial life if it had ever existed on the red planet. On February 3, at a distance of 1.1 million miles, an asteroid more than 3 times as long as it is broad safely sailed by Earth. The object was intensively watched by researchers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California, who made vital observations to ascertain its size, spin, surface specifics, and, most importantly, form. One of the most elongated asteroids we've ever seen, this one's dimensions were disclosed by the Goldstone Solar System radar antenna dish at the Deep Space Network Station in Barstow, California. Other elements seen in the radar images include a big, wide concavity in one of the asteroid's 2 hemispheres and modest dark and bright patches that could be minor surface structures a few dozen meters across. Science data is used by NASA's Eyes on Asteroids to depict comet and asteroid trajectories around the Sun. Scientists at NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies can fine-tune the asteroid's orbit by using measurements of its orbit around the Sun from Goldstone radar surveys. A near approach by the asteroid's 2011 AG5 to Earth won't occur until 2040 because of its 621-day orbital period around the Sun. To analyze the risk of an impact, CNEOS computes the orbits of all known near-Earth asteroids. The Planetary Defense Coordination Office at NASA's headquarters in Washington houses the Near-Earth Object Observations Program, which provides assistance to both CNEOS and the Goldstone Solar System Radar Group. The Deep Space Network receives programmatic oversight from Space Communications and Navigation Program Office within the Space Operations Mission Directorate. Strong solar flares from the Sun peaked around 3:16 p.m. Eastern Time on February 17, 2023 and 10:48 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on February 11, 2023, according to NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, which continuously monitors the Sun. Huge energy explosions are solar flares. Solar flares and eruptions may critically damage astronauts and spacecraft, interfere with radio communications, disrupt power systems, and interfere with navigation signals. This flare is an X1.1 flare. The strongest flares are referred to as X-class, and their strength is further indicated by the number. An X2.2 flare is what this one is. The designation X-class designates the strongest flares, and the number tells you more about how powerful they are. A mesa-like lunar mountain has lately been given the name Mons Mouton in honor of NASA mathematician and computer programmer Melba Mouton. The name was suggested to the International Astronomical Union by members of NASA's Volatiles Investigating Polar Exploration Rover program. The flat-topped peak lies close to the Nobile crater's western rim, where Viper will land and conduct research over its roughly 100-day mission as a part of NASA's Artemis program. Scientists who have made significant or essential contributions to their areas are the focus of the IAU's naming scheme for mountains on the Moon. An Apollo Achievement Award was given to Mouton in honor of her achievements as a computer scientist, her contributions to NASA missions, and her life. As NASA prepares to send astronauts to the lunar surface, including the first woman to set foot on the Moon, Mons Mouton is among one of the 13 candidate landing regions for Artemis 3. Mons Mouton is a broad mountain with a flat summit that was formed by lunar impacts over the course of billions of years. It is 20,000 feet taller than its surrounding features on the Moon's south pole and is as tall as Denali, with a ring of enormous craters encircling its base. Scientists think it is far older than its surroundings. As the first mission to map resources outside of Earth, Viper will probe both above and below the lunar surface to locate and quantify any ice that may be present. By comprehending how water is produced and deposited across the solar system, it will aid in the advancement of scientific research into the Moon.